Hey, deserving listeners, season 5 of Love is Blind. I believe it's in Houston. Let's watch.
People over all the time.
I don't know what you're
And
talking
those
about.
people love a nightstand to like put their jewelry on or...
I've never had any complaints. Usually the jewelry and everything goes here, and there's a lost and found.
I will say that I often will note this trope or trend or common thing that we're seeing in reality TV where the women will be very critical, maybe not harsh, but very vocally critical, very sure of themselves about men and their apartments. You know me, I don't like it when we just slot right into gender associations and expectations. If things like that happen naturally, okay, but imagine if it was reversed, and I hate it when we say that, but, well, I don't hate it. It's not always a direct analogy, and but just for the sake of argument, imagine if it were that, 90% of the time when they go to the woman's apartment or house, that the man is just critical, oh my God, this is disgusting. There are these associations, and I'm guessing some of you might think along these lines of like, well, women are cleaner and they have better places. That is not my experience anecdotally. I don't know the research on it, but I've had women roommates, and they were some of the most disgusting people I've ever lived with. Stacy is very clean. Her and I actually are almost exactly the same in this area, which is nice as a compatibility. We're both very organized and I would say on the clean side of the bell curve. I wasn't always this way. I was disgusting when I was in my 20s. Just disgusting. And I didn't care. I lived with a bunch of guys, and our bathroom, I wouldn't even tell you the specifics. I'll just give you one detail. I'm looking back at this one house. There was this one bathroom that we all used that I'm guessing we lived there for a year, and it was cleaned once, kind of, in the entire time that we lived there. So just imagine. And 4 or 5 guys using a bathroom, and then all the parties that we had. I mean, you just can't imagine. So I was disgusting back then, but I changed around the age of 30 because I started seeing clients in my house, and I became very paranoid about clients judging me, rightfully so, and I wanted them to be comfortable, so I just completely switched, and I've always been very clean since that point. And now, even though I might have a bathroom that clients would never see, I still am very fastidious in that way. I don't know. Anyway, so on these shows, we often see this of just like this criticism. And, some of the guys lean into it. Like, if I remember right, like the Cole scene with Zeneb, Cole might have taken some pride in the fact that he was messy with the towels and stuff. But I don't think Izzy is one of those guys. I think he thinks of himself as a responsible adult, and he likes his place, and he might have decorated it the way that he wants it to be. And it's fine for two people when they come together to have some criticism, or not some criticism, but some requests to change. She's criticizing the fact that he doesn't have a bedstand, an end bedstand, night table, little table next to the bed. I never know words for things. I don't know why. Or they never sound right when I say them. Anyway, so she can have a preference. She'd be like, hey, when we live together, I definitely want to have a table. And it's also possible that she could say something like, hey, when other women have come over, the fact that they haven't complained that you didn't have a table doesn't mean that they didn't want a table. But I just want to point this out because it's not the end of the world. And it's not like men are walking around massively oppressed because women are often criticizing their choice of decor or something. But I just want to raise the notion because when you start to see culture and gender socialization and gender assumptions, that the more critical ones that we need to be paying attention to are the oppressive messages and associations that are keeping people down, often women. Sexual objectification, seeing women as intelligent, seeing women that are assertive, and thinking of them as being bossy or the B word or something. These are very important for us to pay attention to. But when you really look at the whole gender game that we play, a lot of things start to be seen. And one of the things that I see is this. And when we see this, then we are continually reminding ourselves of the gender associations and the bias and the assumptions that on this show anyway, that women feel like they have the absolute right to just almost an expectation. It's almost like, and for some of the women, they might even feel like in order for me to make my man feel masculine, I have to criticize him, because if I'm not criticizing him, that means that his place is tasteful to me, which means that he's basically a woman. And I mean, I'm not even joking. Those notions are out there. I don't know if many women would do that, but one of the most interesting realizations that I have learned over time from others about, the socialization of boys is that me and men in my society and others are socialized in such a way to avoid being seen as anything associating with a woman and anything associated with being gay. And if you have any markers of that, like wearing pink or having a nice home that is decorated well, then you'll be like, oh, you're either gay or you're not a real man. And not only is that a criticism and some sort of threat, which is like, who cares? But you also have no worth is the thing. That's why men are so sensitive about masculinity, because they're socialized from day one to associate their worth with their masculinity almost exclusively. And there's no other set of qualities that they need to uphold their self-worth. If they can just be a man, and you'll see this when you push some men down and humiliate them or take away their power or take away their agency in the world, one of the things often that men will resort to is hypermasculinity. And we see this all the time, because that's what they're told, is that when push comes to shove, you can at least assert your manliness through violence, through lack of emotion, through anger, through rage, through dominance, through also being sexist. I mean, we're taught as boys, one of the ways you can assert your worth and your manhood is to be sexist to women by catcalling them on the street, or by putting them in their place, or scoring with the babe, or whatever. I mean, we're taught those things, not only from our culture, from the people around us, from our peers, and from women. A lot of women will socialize men to unbeknownst to themselves. But there's just a lot of pressure. So this example is not this horrific example, but it's an example of a much bigger problem, that if we fix the whole thing, we need to fix all the instances, and this is one of those instances. Because the way he's reacting, he doesn't seem to be like, haha, well, me, I'm this slob. I think he's like, my place is, I like my place. It's fine.
I've never had any complaints. Usually the jewelry and everything goes here, and there's a lost and found.
What do you mean?
Okay, let's see.
There's a lost and found. So I think what he's saying is that women would come over, leave things behind, jewelry or something, a scrunchie, parts of underwear, parts, I don't know. I was going to say parts of clothing, but I was trying to avoid saying underwear. Why not just say underwear? He's saying that he has a lost and found. Okay, so on one hand, it's like, oh, it's super douchey or something, but on the other hand, it's a nice thing to do, right? It's like, well, if I see her again, I can give her this stuff back. Or if she comes over again, then I can have her look through the lost and found. I mean, it sounds bad, but yeah, I'm going to take a guess and say that the women he was with, they're all communicative about the expectations. I hope. I guess I don't know that about Izzy, but I hope.
What do we got here?
I love that the lost and found is also with the condoms.
I'm a very responsible guy. It's a good thing. So we got a ring here.
And it's another example of how Izzy in this, I don't know how he ends up on this show, but he is exhibiting healthy behavior in that he's not being busted up about these things. I think he's just saying, yeah, I have this thing and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not hiding it, and I'm an open book. and there's nothing wrong. I mean, I'm sure you might have a lost and found at your place, or you might have earrings that are in some guy's lost and found drawer. I don't know, but it's all okay. It's not something to be ashamed of.
Earrings.
Whose are those? You don't know.
At this point, no.
You're lying.
No, I really don't know. I've been here like a year and a half now, so.
Bobby pins.
Like, are we just throwing it all out there?
Yeah, then he says, I don't know whose they are, and maybe for some people that might be shocking, but no, given a certain dating lifestyle, that's not unusual, especially if it was a while back, right?
You're the one that just sold yourself to the devil.
If we're gonna get married, I'm not.
I mean, not that he doesn't remember the woman, but he doesn't remember who is associated with that earring.
Gonna hold anything back from you.
Okay, well then whose are they?
Right. So he's saying what I think he's trying to adhere to, a value or a behavior of openness and not being ashamed and not trying to hide, not being defensive, being an open book so that one can build trust. For me, I would much rather have someone tell me about these things naturally than try to hide it, and then what if I come across it and then I'm like, what's this? And it's better. It depends. So another strategy he could have done is he could have just gotten rid of it before going on the show, knowing that, well, there's a chance that I might meet my person and we're going to come back to my place. So maybe I should just throw all this stuff out or put it in a box somewhere or something.
Okay, well then whose are they?
No, I really don't know. I'm not lying to you. I don't know.
Oh, jeez. Okay. I just think that's really immature. Throw it away. Especially if you don't know who it belongs to. Why?
Okay, well, at first I'm like, ick, that she's calling it immature, but I think what she might be saying here, which is possible, and it would be immature, if he's holding on to it as some sort of trophy, which is possible. Yeah, that's possible. I mean, it's not, is it immature? Depends. It's certainly not something that you would want to brag about. Like, I've been holding on to a bunch of one-night stand paraphernalia as a trophy of how awesome I am at getting women to come back to my place, or to indicate how much of a player I am or something. And I'll also say there's a possibility that he's even talking about it on camera right now as a way of trying to show off. It doesn't look that way to me, but we can add that as a possibility. So she's saying it's immature. Unless she knows more information, I think that's a leap to say. It's possible that it does come from an immature place, but it's also possible that it's just a rational, altruistic thing that he was doing, that he had consensual interactions with people. They left something behind. He could have chucked it, but he's like, well, I'll hold on to it, and if I run into them again, I'll give it back to him. I mean, what's wrong with that? But it also could come from an immature place, so maybe she knows something more. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. So I don't know about you, but throughout my day, I have two opposing forces in my mind between what I want to do, like playing a video game or playing with my dogs, and what I should do, like exercise more or eat more fiber or something. As a therapist, I talk with a lot of clients about this inner conflict. Most people think it's all about willpower, even though research demonstrates that willpower doesn't really work. There are a lot of evidence-based techniques that actually work that people don't usually consider, like using behavioral shaping techniques or healing from our relational traumas that keep us stuck internally. Well, one option worth exploring is BetterHelp. If you're thinking of starting therapy, it's worth giving a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient and suited to your schedule. And also, you can switch therapists at any time at no additional charge. So, make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Kirk today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Kirk.
You're keeping it. We gotta see. So you have no dishes?
Yeah. What do you? Oh no, like glass or anything? No.
Oh my God!
Okay, so I was saying earlier, if you have a complaint or you want to have some kind of reaction, that's fine, but this sort of astonishment about things. It's not okay to me. Even if, just regardless of gender, it's like you're walking into someone else's place and you're just looking for reasons to ridicule them. Yeah, I remember noticing this actually with Micah and Paul, that they did it a different sort of way, where Micah would laugh kind of with Paul, but it was still kind of in this direction. There was just a lot of criticism and a lot of just ridicule, like, men. And what it kind of potentially illuminates is an insecurity on Stacy's part, that when you go over the top with stuff like this, often it's because you feel lesser and you feel like you need to ridicule in order to bring someone down so that you can, by comparison, feel better about yourself. We do this all the time. And so I'm wondering what's going on in her mind. Now, it sounds like he is saying yes, permanently. Maybe it's a temporary thing, but he's saying permanently, I have a lot of plastic plates and glasses. Okay.
I guess when I was 29, no, probably when I was like 20, no, actually never. I never had red Solo cups or plasticware. I never had a lost and found drawer. This is astonishing. I don't know. Is that something that comes with maturity, or is that just how he is? When we talked about cooking for each other.
Maturity, I don't know why that's being discussed. If there's more information, it could be an example of immaturity. I don't know. So are they just going to move on from the plastic plate thing?
Yeah.
You would give me plastic.
Would you still love me?
I would bring over silverware.
But what if it was first date and we're vibing and everything's great, and
fuck out of you.
I went out of my way to cook you this great meal, but I served you on plastic? You're still gonna judge me?
Yes.
Ouch.
Yeah, I think he is legit hurt. He has a light way of expressing when his feelings are hurt, and I think I heard it in his voice that he's actually hurt. Look, if you have a complaint, or if you think, what's going on here? Because she's saying, so you're telling me that if I came over here on a date and you made this dinner and you served the meal on a plastic plate, a paper plate, and you gave me a red Solo cup to drink water out of or something, or wine, then yeah, I would, she's saying I would judge you very, very harshly. And okay, okay, why does he have I want to know why he has. Maybe he has an aversion to glass or ceramics or something. I don't know. Probably not. I'm guessing he just doesn't want to do dishes, which, if that's the case, then that's not great for the environment. There are some plastic plates and cups that you can wash. Some of these plastic plates are very very sturdy, but if you didn't want to wash, then of course you would just throw them away. Yeah, I mean, not great for the environment. Depending on how often he eats at home. Maybe he doesn't eat at home very often, but regardless, yeah, that is a little. But is it the end of the world if there are people who drive gas guzzling SUVs to work when it's just them in the car, when they could easily just get a smaller car that is much more, or take the bus for that matter? That's probably a lot worse for the environment than someone, I don't know exactly how the math works out, but you know what I'm saying. So there's, if we took a full inventory of everyone's environmental behaviors, so to speak, there's probably a lot of things we could comment on and judge, I suppose. But anyway, so she's saying that she would very much judge him, and I think that at the very least, if I were a birdie on Stacy's shoulder, I would say I think he might actually have his feelings hurt right now. So if you want to hurt his feelings, even if you feel you're right, and a lot of people, and I'm guessing a lot of people would agree with her, but it doesn't make it okay to just ridicule someone and bulldoze. Stacy could say, I wonder what that means about him. Does that say something about him, or what? But certainly we're not going to do that when we live together. I mean, yeah, you just think Stacy would think that, like, so you use paper plates. Well, those days are over, because I have a bunch of plates and silverware and stuff. So do you mind if we use that? Is that okay? And he's, yeah, okay. Well, it's just something of the past, just something He just, a weird quirk that he had when he was a bachelor, whatever. You could certainly say that. But the other thing I want to bring up is that she said a few things during that financial conversation that indicated that there's a possibility that she sees the world through either a lens of privilege and wealth, or she is very afraid of being seen as anything other than wealthy and high class. And so she's very sensitive to that and will be very judgmental of others when they are when they don't have indications of high class. And particularly if they're going to get married and he is going to be associated with her, his behavior will be associated with her. And she seems to be saying a number of things in this category of like, well, if you're going to be with me, you have to also be high class. And what is high class? It just all the weird associations one could have. And you can't be yourself because, and if you are yourself in those ways, those are inferior, low class behaviors that I will not abide. So I don't know if that's what's happening right now, but I just want to add that. I hope that for Stacy, it's just kind of an adjustment for her, as because I think there'll be a yes at the altar. Although if she keeps doing things like this, he might end up being a maybe.
When have you ever met a girl out and come back and cook for her?
I've done it a couple times.
So you did serve her plastic.
Uh-huh.
You were like, I don't.
And I was never judged.
Well, they never said anything judgmental, but I would imagine a lot of people would. Is it okay if you're on a date and some guy makes a big meal and gives you and says, "Yeah, I permanently have no plates, no ceramic plates or glass plates, so I'm going to give you this in a red Solo cup and a paper plate." Is it okay for you to say like, I don't know about this guy? Yeah, but to draw massive conclusions or to say like, there's no way that this would work because of this behavior is, I don't know, I just think short-sighted. And I'm guessing if people got to know you, or people got to know Stacy for that matter, and really took an inventory of all the behaviors and practices that she does and has in her house, that there would be some things that would be a little odd. It's normal. Not everyone slots right into the lane of expectations, right? And to just completely flip out if there's a couple things that are out of that lane, I don't know if that's fair or wise.
It was a thought that counted, but good to know, baby. I know we come from different backgrounds. I've worked very hard to get where I'm at now. Like I didn't have, like fancy dinners and restaurants and, things like that.
Right. So he is, I think, commenting on what I'm observing, which I'm guessing a lot of others are as well, that it is a discussion or a conflict or a difference of class and of expectations and wealth and experience regarding wealth and fanciness. And he is, I think, is telling us that he feels like she's being critical of the way he is regarding class, I think is the general statement I'll say. And he's telling us that he didn't grow up with those things and he doesn't have experience with those things and maybe doesn't value those sorts of things. Okay.
I don't want you to feel like I'm like nagging you right now. I'm taking it all in. This is a side of you I haven't seen. And I'm also like, you're a man. You're a man. You're not gonna have like spotless and things that make sense.
So,
you know what I mean? It's such a, she's not alone. She is normal on this show. This ridicule of like, you're a man, therefore you're stupid and you have no sense of style and you don't make any sense when it comes to your table by the bed, your kitchen. You're just a ridiculous fool with no competence and you are laughable and I will do everything because you are an idiot. That's what she's saying. Am I going too far? And that she's not alone. She might be particular in the emphasis that she has. But I see this scene almost all the time on this show and other shows, and I don't often comment on it because I don't know, it's just not this. I don't really have a bone to pick with it personally. I mean, I guess I kind of do because I consider myself to be clean. Like the other day, some people are over at my house, at our house, me and Stacy, and someone was complimenting something about the house, like decor or something in the kitchen, and they looked to Stacy and said, "Oh, where did you get this?" And I'm like, and she said, "Oh, well, Kirk got that," and I didn't really. It didn't bother me very much, but that happens a lot, where people will think, "Oh, your place, it's so pretty. Stacy really did a nice job with this," and I'm just like, "What?" I mean, it doesn't matter really, but it's if you get enough of that stuff in life, it's hurtful. Is the way to put it. And I guess I've been in my 20s, I was ridiculous and stupid and disgusting. The women I lived with as well were disgusting. There were times in my life when you could absolutely criticize and be disgusted with my bathroom, for example. But, past 30, for the past 22 years, it's been different. And I don't need acknowledgement for that, but I don't appreciate it when it's assumed that so the way that I've been socialized, I can't win. If my house is clean and it looks nice, it's either because of Stacy, or it's because she's making me do something, or it is because of me, and that means I'm not a real man because I'm interested in decor, I'm interested in cleaning, or I'm like anal. You lose either way is the point. When she reacts this way, it's normal, but it grates on my nerves.
This is a side of you I haven't seen. And I'm also like, you're a man. You're a man. You're not gonna have like spotless and things that make sense.
So
now, do I think Izzy is destroyed by this? No. Am I destroyed by it? No. Do I think that Stacy's a bad person? Stacy's a bad person? No. I don't often talk about this, so I'm talking about it, and the next 20 times I see a scene like this, I probably won't say anything because it's not really worth it. But this interaction is really delivering in terms of giving me the chance to highlight something that I sometimes want to talk about.
in their 40s, early 40s, and I'm 29. But at the same time, I'm a lot more emotionally stable than they are. That's obviously why she's with me. So I don't really feel like age makes a difference. It's very minute things, like fucking plates. So.
Yeah, I don't think he's taking it well. And I think it's very normal for him. I think we're hearing some rare anger from him coming from a place of hurt. Did you hear that? I think we're hearing that. And there's been a lot of things. Every time she does this since she's entered his place, he doesn't seem to be appreciating it. And I think it might be kind of a problem of his that he's so accommodating and pleasing in conversation, which is a good trait under a lot of circumstances, but I don't know how much signaling he's giving to Stacy. I think she might need to hear something more overt. He said something earlier, I don't know if I included it, but he said, look, I am who I am, and you either love me for who I am or you don't. I don't know what to do about it. As I'm role-playing it, I'm even being more expressive than he was saying it more generally. And that was, I think what he's saying, which is, one, this hurts my feelings, but more overtly, do you still like me even though I do things differently than you? I don't think that these things are awful. In fact, I was thoughtful about them. I have my reasons. They just bounced away from the plate thing. I'm curious. He could literally have a phobia about doing dishes. I know people who have this because they were traumatized about doing dishes when they were growing up. Umberto, my co-host, will talk about that sometimes, about how for some people when they were growing up, a lot of the abuse or the mistreatment would happen surrounding the chore of doing the dishes. And I don't know, that's just one of 1,000 possibilities, but we don't know why he had paper plates. There's probably something going on there because there aren't other things in the, it's not a global thing that we're hearing about or seeing. Because if he was lazy, for example, and he just didn't want to do the dishes and he didn't care about the environment and he didn't care about how things look, then I think we would see countless details about his house that would indicate that. But we don't see that. We see a place that is actually pretty well put together. I mean, it's not amazing, but it looks clean and looks fine, looks well decorated, I guess. And we don't see or hear about a global personality trait that I think is along the lines of what she is judging him to have, right? Of immaturity. Yeah. So she's saying he's immature. He's like a child. And then we're hearing from him that she has dated a lot of older men. I don't know if she's used that as weapon, ammo against him. It's just like, oh, I just have to remember that you're young. You're 29 and you're immature. I don't know if she's done that. She's kind of done that in the one-on-one interviews. Or if he just knows that she dated older people and he's thinking, is that what this is about? So does he exhibit general immaturity? No. In fact, he exhibits a lot of maturity throughout this thing. I don't know him, and maybe Stacy has some background information, off-camera information that he is generally immature or something. My point is that I wish they would have allowed some breathing space for the play. Maybe they'll talk about it at the reunion or something. Okay, well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Everyone, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.